everybody.
It's Sean.
And Kelly.
We are here for this week's market report.
Yes.
All right, what are we talking about
This is
today?
a good one. This is about home inspections. We're going to discuss 4 inspection strategies and how to protect yourself.
Absolutely. And
How
stay,
or if, right?
And stay till, yes, absolutely. And stay with us till the end, because at the very end, we're going to give you a bonus strategy that isn't often used, and that can actually be the strongest offer and provide full protection. So Kel, what is a home inspection?
Okay, the home inspection is very different than the appraisal,
Yes.
right? So don't confuse the two. The appraisal is through your lender, blah, blah, blah. The home inspection is something that gives you, the buyer, peace of mind about your house. They're going to check things like...
They're going to check the electrical function of the house. They're going to check the HVAC, all of the appliances, the windows. They'll look at insulation in the attic. They're going to inspect
sinks, showers,
yes.
Things like this. You don't know, even new construction. One of the common things is they don't install the shower pans,
correct.
right?
Or after a flip or something.
Yeah, things like that. And they'll check for water damage, secret
Yep.
hidden things that you wouldn't see. Outlets, did you say that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they're going to test the function of the house. They're going to test anything that they can visually see.
Mm-hmm. This would not include a well inspection if that's needed, nor would it include the septic system.
That's true.
Usually those things can be scheduled at the same time, but it's not the same thing. And it doesn't include, by necessity, a radon inspection.
Correct.
But that's oftentimes tacked on if the property
That's right.
calls for it.
So that's what the inspection for, and that's for you to actually basically just see what is it that you're buying.
Oh, it's also not the pest inspection.
Yes, not the pest inspection. So the purpose of us going through these is because right now in the current market, you're going to be competing. If you're buying in this market, you will be competing against other offers, and the other offers are quite often waiving home inspections.
I'll raise you a home inspection.
So they're quite often waiving home inspections. So you have to know what your options are, how to best strengthen your options, and provide the strongest offer to the seller.
Right, because is it ideal for you to waive a home inspection?
No.
It's really not.
It's not.
But there is a way to do this right so that you get the best of both worlds. We do have a nice little cookie, wonderful
little treat
for you.
All right, so the weakest option, the first one we're going to discuss is
an option to negotiate or void. There is a home inspection contingency tacked onto your offer, and you get to negotiate based on whatever the home inspector finds, or void it altogether. That is the weakest, and why. Okay,
well, let's go to option number 2. Let's go to option number 2, and then we'll discuss the difference between the two so that it's clear. So,
dang it.
Yeah, you're right. I was trying to figure out the best way to do this too. So option number 2 is the option to void only, which is actually stronger than option number 1. And most buyers do ask us, why is that stronger? Why would they want us to just void? And the reason is because a lot of buyers strategically will put a higher offer in on a property to win the property. They'll put an inspection contingency with the option to negotiate or void. And then when they get the inspection report, they'll come back with $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 worth of repairs and ask for a concession.
Nickel and dime it down to...
Yeah, so they try to get the price lowered. So it's a strategic option that buyers will used to use, and sellers have become savvy to this. So the void only option, how does that work?
The void only, we're talking about Virginia, right? The different states, make sure your agent knows, even if the language is right, the etiquette in different states is very, very different.
The interpretation.
So right now we're going to talk about Northern Virginia.
Yes.
Void only is like, look, I'm either willing to stick in with everything else in the offer as is, no matter what they find, or for whatever reason on here, I'm out. I'm just going to pull out, and that way the buyer likes it because they're like, okay, they're going to take this seriously and it's going to be done. They're not going to nickel and dime me and try to get things out. What often can happen, though?
Well, quite often. So it's a pass-fail inspection, and the pass-fail is the decision of the buyer. But what can happen is if the buyer gets a report back and the buyer says, you know what, we're going to void the property or void the contract. Quite often the seller might come to them and say, well, hey, what do we need to do to fix it?
Yeah, as the seller and the seller's agent, they're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Why?
Let's
see what we can do.
Get back this out a little bit? What's up?
So it's kind of like a void with the option to negotiate, but the key is the buyer cannot start the negotiation. It's the seller. So it's a more straightforward approach. So it is stronger than the first option for that reason.
Not nearly as good as information purposes
I was like,
only.
what's number 3?
Yeah,
Yes.
information purposes only. So
Yes.
this is, I still feel it can get a little bit something
Yeah.
whenever you have HOA and
Yeah.
condo stuff in there. But that's a
That's
whole
another
different thing, and we'll
conversation.
talk about that privately. But this means it's not contingent on any home inspection whatsoever, but there's a little part where we can say, but even though it's not contingent, we do want it to be open it up to us for a few weeks because they want to go in, do the inspection, but this is just for their information so they can kind of get ahead or make some
Yeah.
plans or whatever.
Know what they're buying.
Yeah.
And so Kelly brought up a good term that we haven't, I don't know if we mentioned it yet or not, but contingent. So what does contingent mean? So you have this whole conversation is around a home inspection contingency. And the contingency means that during the terms of that contingency, the buyer has the right to continue forward with the contract or void the contract. So from a seller's perspective, when that contingency is active, that contract is at risk. So that's why buyers are removing these to strengthen their offers.
Yeah.
So so in the example Kelly just said, there is no contingency, but they still have the right to expect for information purposes only.
It means the offer's the offer, they're in. They're not going to change their minds or back out because of this home inspection, but they just want to know what they're getting.
Yep.
Right?
So, and then the last one is the strongest one.
Well, we didn't even say no inspection is number 4.
Yeah,
that's
that's
another
the-
option.
that is the
That's
last
not the
one.
strongest. No, look, read number
So
5.
this is the bonus. So this is the.
Oh, that's your bonus? That should have been number 5. You should have a little star that said bonus. It doesn't work like that.
That's all right.
Okay, the last one
Yes,
is
then the last
no
one is-
inspection at all. But that's the best for getting your offer accepted.
Yes,
Not necessarily the best for you,
it is the riskiest.
unless the best for you is actually getting a house and getting your offer accepted.
That's right.
So that
and
can be the
and if
best.
you're liquid enough to handle any repairs.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. But the bonus.
The bonus.
They're beautiful. Now, the reason this is a bonus and not a pure strategy is because there are some negatives to it. So we'll go over the negatives in just a second, but what is the
And-
bonus strategy?
Okay, the bonus strategy is to do a pre-offer inspection. You know we are huge on pre-offer anything we can get.
Pre-offer full approval, the POFA.
It's a pre-offer inspection. We love it, and
Yes.
we can't really do anything fun with that. Poi. I mean, that's
Yeah.
stupid. Okay,
So
what is
what-
a pre-offer home inspection?
So what you do with the pre-offer inspection is you hire your inspector, he goes in, he does the inspection before you do your offer.
Oh, he or she.
He or she, apologies, before you submit your offer, and then you can submit the offer without an inspection contingency. But here are the catches, and the first one is the seller may not allow for a pre-offer full
And
inspection.
that does not mean that it's because they know something is tragically wrong with the house and they don't want you to find out.
Yep.
That's not what it is. I mean, we've never seen that.
Yeah.
Usually it's because they've got like filled window. How am I trying to say this?
They're-
With all the
they're
showings,
showing
they're
windows,
completely
yeah.
booked with showings and open houses, and they don't want to stop this for an inspector to come in
Yeah.
and show it. Now that's usually whenever it's just
New
on
to
the
the
market
market,
and things,
yeah.
which is
Yeah.
usually the case here.
Yeah, and there may not be time for that. There may be an offer deadline. You may not have time to do the pre-offer inspection.
Right.
So yeah, that's usually
Yeah.
the case. But then the other situation that could occur that's from a buyer's perspective is every time you do this inspection, you're paying for it. You have to pay the inspector. So
Right.
you're paying $500 for an inspection. You may not win that property. So there's an out-of-pocket expense as well.
But the sellers like that. They're like, okay, they mean business. They're very serious. When and if I get, if I can expect an offer from this buyer,
Without an
it's
inspection.
legit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they really mean it. They're gonna. Do
So
the
we
best they can.
recommend that. That's the best strategy. If you
Yeah.
can do, as a buyer, if you can do a POFA, pre-offer full approval, and you can do a PROI, a pre-offer inspection.
Boy, don't use that.
Yeah,
That's
don't
so
use
dumb.
PROI. Then you got a solid offer where you can go in without a finance contingency and you can go out without an inspection contingency and you're fully protected.
I have a question though.
Yes.
Let's say, whatever the numbers. Okay, it's a relatively new to market property. I'm the buyer. You're my agent. And you get me in and I see it and I love it and I really want to write an offer on it, but I'm nervous about the home inspection thing.
Yeah.
And you suggest this, hey, you know what? The seller's agent said they're open to the
Pre-offer
the
inspection.
pre-offer inspection.
Yeah.
So let's say the price point is $500K.
Mm-hmm.
If it's new and they have a lot of showings, you're going to probably tell me based on comps, but let's say $500K, it's priced right. I
Right.
need to be willing to do that. And if the agent says they have a lot of offers, probably go over a little bit, right? So what would the seller's agent think if they did allow me to get a pre-offer inspection? I did get it. And I'm like, based on the inspection, I'm gonna go $495. Is that a thing? Is that a conversation that the agents
So
have? I
that's
mean, how does that
that's a
play out?
fantastic point. So that's not a common thing. In fact, some agents, if they're going to offer you a pre-offer inspection, they will have a document that's not for you to sign that says that you will not share those inspection results because
With them or anyone?
with them or anyone, because if there's something on there that could be a material defect that they are not aware of, if they become aware of it, they then have to disclose.
Right.
So you can come in with that lower offer. They're not going to ask you why because they don't
want to know why.
Yeah, there's that.
And that's the state of
possible
Virginia thing, right?
buyer
We're a buyer
beware.
beware state. This
Exactly.
comes into the seller disclosures and
Yep.
all of this. So there are so many little nuances that you really want to hire people like us who know
Yes.
about all of that.
So yes, you could come in with a $495 offer, but all these other people that came in at $525 with no inspection, they're going to get the property.
And that would probably tell the seller's agent, okay, we probably need to make sure we take one that doesn't have a home inspection contingency on it.
That's
right?
exactly right. So, but the buyer, they just save themselves from buying a bad property potentially.
It cost them a few $100s to do it, but
Yep.
good for them because it probably saved them thousands later
In the
in
labor.
repairs.
Yep. So, okay. So hopefully this was helpful. I think that this was good information.
I mean, I think I shared a wealth of information.
You were brilliant.
looked beautiful.
you got that backwards. I'm the smart one. You're the pretty one.
No, I want to be the smart one. Look at you. I can't compete with your beard. You're so gorgeous.
Okay. Anyway, let's get to the numbers. Okay, so let's dive into the numbers and see what's happened over the last 7 days. Before we dive into that, though, I want to let you know that that conversation that we just had about the inspections, that is a very important conversation because, as you can see, the market is very competitive. Even with the interest rates going up a little bit this last week, it's gotten more competitive. So anything that you can do to strengthen your offer is something that you really, really do want to focus on. Get with your agent, have them go through all of the pre-offer proactive strategies that you can do to get ready so that you can compete virtually with cash offers and so that you can be prepared to strengthen your offers as much as possible. So let's get into the numbers and see what happened over the last 7 days. All right, so as always, our buyer activity is our orange line, inventory is our blue line, and you can see that over the last 7 days, buyer activity shot up pretty significantly, and inventory shot up as well. Now, here's something that's interesting. Okay, this is the first week of June this year. This is the first week of June last year. So buyer activity is actually higher than it was last year. See where buyer activity is right here this year, and buyer activity was here last year. Inventory is actually lower, slightly lower than it was last year. So even though inventory is lower, buyer activity is higher. Okay, now we were in June of 2022 last year was when the interest rates were in the heat of going up. So it wasn't a normal June market, but that just shows that this year the competition is even stronger than it was last year. Because you can see last year, the two inventory and buyer activity were right by each other. There was no gap, and they kind of mimicked each other for the longest time. So that was a nice neutral market. Here, there's a huge gap. So what does that gap do? We go over here, that creates this seller's market. So what that means is buyers, you have to be ready to compete. You have to be quick with your decisions, and you have to be prepared to potentially elevate above the asking price for the properties and compete against multiple offers. So if you need to lower what you're looking for so you have the room to qualify for that increased sales price, you need to be prepared to do so. Sellers, it is a fantastic time for you to sell. The market is continuing to, the activity is continuing to grow, especially after the holiday, and sales prices are continuing to go up. They're not going up like they were in 2020, but they are still continuing to go up. So it's a great time to capitalize on the appreciation of what has happened over the last 2 to 3 years. So if you have any questions about anything that we've discussed today, it's very important that all of these factors are very well understood. Get with your agent, have them explain everything to you. If you don't have an agent, or if your agent's unable to explain it to your satisfaction, feel free to give us a call. I'm happy to hop on a conversation with all three of you if I need to, or just one-on-one with you guys. So just let us know how we can help you, and we will see you on next week's video to see if these trends are competing. Good luck out there, and we'll see you next week.